Yo, I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'ma put a ride on ya.
Hello guys, what is going on? It's Tim here. Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel today. And ladies and gentlemen, it is a brand new series, the first episode of what I hope to be an awesome series that I'm going to take you guys along for the ride. It's going to be exciting, there's going to be moments, it's going to be really, really cool. So this is F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, and I've just kind of fast forwarded the footage for the setup, so we're just setting up team colours and character and all that, and I'm excited for this season. So the whole thing with the F1 2020 My Team startup is we are essentially a back market. So we are scheduled to be, I think, 9th team out of the 11th team, like 11 teams, as far as I'm aware. So we got to try and build our way up to the top and see if we can get success. And we're basically owning, like, we own the team, we control the team, and kind of every single aspect of it. So we sign drivers, we sign sponsors and all that. So we've gone with ATS Racing Team. Now we have to find a sponsor. So I was thinking long and hard about this one, about how, like, what goals achievable and who's going to give us the best signing bonus. And we've gone with Distort here, because they had a good signing bonus and their goal was really achievable. Engine, we're going to go with Mercedes, because it's second cheapest, and Ferrari's going to get nerfed fairly soon, hopefully in the next patch. As for the teammate, I wanted to go with Anton Hubert, after what happened last year, just in memory of him. Unfortunately, we didn't quite have enough money for that. We were about 200,000 short, and I wasn't dropping the engine or choosing a different one, so we've gone with Dorian instead. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name, it's too difficult. So we've gone with Dorian as our teammate, and we'll see how that one goes. Now we're just setting up the livery and all that. So this is basically just a setup, so setting up logo, setting up livery, setting up the entire team, so we can hit the ground running as soon as we get underway for the new F1 season. And it's going to be a fun one. There's going to be tears, there's going to be joy. We might even win a race in the first season. You never know what happens in this series, and chaos can ensue, especially when F1 AI is involved, especially on this game. They've designed it so it's a little bit, like, more realistic. As for assists and all that, you can see what assists I'm running, and all that, and we're going to go with 70 AI difficulty to start off with.
Hello folks, and welcome to the HQ of Formula One's newest team. We've been invited backstage to gain an exclusive insight into what could be one of the most exciting entries in the sport for many years. Now, we've seen a number of new teams enter the sport over the last decade, amongst their number Manor, Caterham, HRT, and of course Haas. And while some have proved to be successful, others have morphed into different teams, and some have disappeared completely. What marks this team out, though, as being something different is that its owner is also its driver. And there's a rich history of that in Formula One too. Sir Jack Brabham, John Surtees, Graham Hill, and Bruce McLaren all drove their own cars in the sport, but it has become increasingly rare in recent years. What's very special about this team, though, is that while the team itself is new to Formula One, so too is its driver and owner.
Whatever happens this season, you've already made the history books. Tell me, do you feel up to the mammoth task of both managing and driving for a Formula One team? Every team needs two drivers, but what was it that drew you to your teammates? No one aims to finish bottom of the table. Who's the team you're aiming to beat? How are you expecting the car to feel out on track? The other teams now have years of experience, both on and off the track. How are planning to catch up to them? Overtaking is a key part of this sport. How have you ensured that your car can take advantage of each opportunity that comes your way? And finally, which of your new departments are you most proud of?
Well, that's about all we've got time for here. We will see how this fledgling team fares in its first Grand Prix.
Okay, great, thank you.
Cheers, Will, for that interview. But if you're wondering what that whole interview process was about, that basically it sets the path for the car. So, for instance, we've got chassis, aero, and powertrain. So the powertrain, chassis, and aero are going to be fairly good. I think the chassis we mentioned twice, so the chassis is going to be really good. As you can see, it's a spec 1 here, where the rest of it's a spec 0. We've got research and development to do. And then you've also got your cash and your resource points. So the resource points you spend on upgrades. And I think we go off the bat straight away and get a durability upgrade, and have that prepared. Because it will be, as a new car, we're going to have to be a lot more durable. And we're also going to try and stick on an aero one a little bit later on, maybe after practice one, where we get some more resource points in. Tire allocation, we're going with a medium. And we're just making sure it's set up in the way that we need it for this. We can assign team activities in this one. Unfortunately, they gave me 5 days and 7 days, so I could only fit in one of the team activities. So we've decided to go with the driver training camp, because it kind of gives us the most benefit out of all of the options there. So I believe that was probably the best one to go with. Going through our emails, new car's looking good. We've got access to the IT system. It's all basic stuff, and it's just introductory stuff to this brand new series and to the whole mission of trying to figure out how we can get this car up on that top steps of the podium. And it will take a couple of seasons. Don't worry about that. We're not going to be top straight off the bat, unfortunately. But yeah, we're just going through all of the departments now, figuring out how much stuff will cost and all that, and what we might want to look at upgrading first. And yeah, it's going to be a fun season, let's say that much. I think there'll be some good battles with, even though we're in the back markers, there'll still be some good battles with the likes of Haas, Alfa Romeo, Williams. As you can see, we're above Haas and Williams on paper, but can we perform that out on the track is the real question. So teammate Dorian, went with him because he's a fairly good option. The way that he goes about things is really good. We also just had a quick look at the driver market to see who else is available to be bought and to sign. And there's some big names there: Jack Aitken, Callum Ilott, and then you got the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Bottas and Vettel, who are up the top. And that's all going to affect the acclaim. So the acclaim will basically, it decides whether you can sign stuff or whether you can do certain things. But we're going to advance to the car reveal now and see the new car. Is the beautiful beast that we have created, the number 9 of the ATS Racing Team. If you're wondering why it's ATS, it stands for Ain't the Same album. If you haven't heard already, I'm dropping an album September 18th. It'll be on Spotify and all that, but decided to name them Ain't the Same just for promotion and also just cause. But as you can see, we can't sign any more team activities or no new team activities that rolled through, which was a shame. So that kind of put a halt on things, as in regards to progressing our team and all that. And the new resource came in, so we're going to stick a aero update to the car, so that will be ready later in the season. That will probably end up being late March that one comes. But let's skip forward. The home Grand Prix, the Australian Grand Prix, first race of the season. We get to see what this car is like to drive, how it feels, how it handles, and how we can like upgrade the car that it will make it even better and what we need to upgrade. But straight into practice 1 now, 45-minute session for practice 1, and straight off with the track acclimatization practice program. I know the Australian circuit pretty well. It's just getting my head around the whole aspect of driving a new car, because with the Mercedes or a Ferrari or like the Red Bull cars, you kind of know what to expect, where if with this you kind of have to judge yourself and figure out what the car is actually like. But our first lap on the track acclimatization program, you can see the 2 reds up the top. We missed the gates, and unfortunately we got green, but unfortunately we didn't get a purple, and that's what we're really aiming for, to get a score of 400 and I think it's 75 in order to like progress and give us a little bit more resource points. But into the fast left right chicane here, out of the middle sector into the third sector, over the DRS line, and the lap's looking pretty clean. We've got purples, 4 greens earlier in sector 1, but we just had a bit of understeer, couldn't get the car stopped through 13, and unfortunately that's come up with red. But we kept pushing on just in case we managed to get there, and we missed out by 20 points, I think it was. So we had 475 off that run, and the target's 495. So we go for the third lap, final lap of the practice program, see if we can do anything, and this lap has been a lot cleaner. Hit all the gates at the right speeds, through the final corner. Occasionally you have to lift through there, depends on your exit through the penultimate corner, but across the line, and we're going to pick up the 100 resource points on offer for that one. And a pretty decent lap time considering the fact we're on hards as well. But yeah, that was the end of practice 1. I also did quali sim in this one, and as you can tell, we might need to up the difficulty a bit. We're 1.7 seconds ahead of second place. I mean, I know it's practice, but still, as a backmarker team, yes, we ran on softs and they ran on mediums, but that shouldn't have that much of a difference. So we upped it to 75 before qualifying to see what that would do, and tried to make it as real as possible, so that way it's a little bit more entertaining and realistic. But qualifying, first run, we're about to get underway. We're just loading a car setup, so I'm using Tom 97's car setup for Australia and his hot lap. But yeah, let's have a look and see how we go for this one. It'll be fun. First run in Q1. I don't think we'll get out to Q2. It's unlikely, but we're going to try at least. So through the penultimate corner now and into the final corner, sweeping right-hander to start the lap on the pit straight. In hot lap, max fuel mixture, and get this show on the road, see where we kind of match up in the qualifying section. But through turn 1 and turn 2, just missed the apex there, but still managed to roll the car through nicely through 2. Open DRS on the way to turn 3. The slowing right into a sweeping left, and then back into quite a quick right. But if you get too much on the outside curb, you'll end up spinning, which I believe we do later in the session. But now into the middle sector we go. Once again, a couple more sweeping corners, and then heavy braking zone as we come on to, I'd like to say, the funnest part of the track, because it's the back straight, sweeping left-hander through the DRS regulation zone. But we skip further into the lap, through the penultimate corner and through the final corner now, and that ends up putting us in P5 for the time being, so ahead of Russell and Latifi, and that ended up dropping down to 14th. So we're going to go out for another run, Q1, final run of the session, see if we can get our way into Q2. Currently we're there, but just to kind of cement our position, coming into turn 3, lost the back end, and then out of 4, as you can see, we lost the back end on that curb, and that was that run over. So do we get into Q2? The answer is no. We miss out by not that much as well. That's really annoying. We missed out on Q. No! I mean, we didn't have high expectations, but it's just a little bit disappointing that we didn't get out into Q2. But that's just life. But let's move on to the race.
It's finally time once again to begin what promises to be another thrilling season of Formula One action. Pre-season time, subject of so much discussion in recent weeks, mean nothing now, as the cars line up to battle it out for points once again. So let's get this season underway. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 16 corners and 3.3 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles an hour. The close proximity of the barriers makes accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Aback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
Ever since their participation was announced, there were questions being asked about whether an outfit like this could survive, and certainly it's proving to be a trial by fire so far. Let's hope they can continue to draw an investment and find a little more pace as well.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Fed starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Albon, Ricciardo, Norris, Sainz, and Esteban Ocon, Stroll, Perez, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Raikkonen, Grosjean, Gasly, the engineer, and Dorian Boccolacci. Magnussen, Russell, Latifi, and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
Cheers for that advice, Jeff. But let's finally get this show on the road. Race strategy. We are going to take some. We're going to put some fuel in the car, a little bit more fuel in the car, and we're going to go from the softs onto the hard compound tyre. Do the 1 stop in hope that we can jump some people doing the 2 stops, and trying to get some positions that way. But we need to figure out what the car is like with heavy fuel, because in practice we didn't actually test that. We didn't test what the car was like with a heavy fuel load. So on the formation lap here, that's what we're going to do, as well as warming up the tyres, making sure brakes are warm and that we are ready to go for this brand new F1 season. We spent hours upon hours working on the car, trying to get it ready, making sure it meets all the FIA regulations, making sure that it's quick, and we're about to find out how quick it really is and how we shape up against the teams like AlphaTauri, Haas, Williams and Alfa Romeo as we form the grid. Starting in P17, 29 laps around the Australian Grand Prix circuit here at Albert Park in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Waiting for those 5 red lights now, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go for the Australian Grand Prix. We get a good start, jumping Gasly and Grosjean by the looks of it as we go to the outside, heading into turn 1, braking and being very cautious. Don't want to break that front wing early on and ruin the race strategy. Out of turn 2 now, and we're going to try and chase down the Alfa Romeo into turn 3, braking it late, diving it down the inside, and not only do we get the Alfa Romeo, we get both of them and also a racing point just for good measure. Into turn 4 now, Nice exit. See if we can get a run on Perez into turn 6, but no. He's slowed through turn 5, round the outside. Now we're going to switch it up and drive it down the inside of 6. And a good move to round that position off, and Ocon in the distance. I don't think we'll catch him. It's a Renault. They're not quite in the back markers yet. They're more of a midfield team, and so are Racing Point realistically. But Codemasters haven't released the patch for that yet. Now we are defending extremely hard, trying to make sure we can continue in this position that we are currently in. And it's a good start, cutting the corner a little bit, losing the back end. That will possibly give Perez here a chance to dive it around the outside and hang it around the outside, but we outbrake him coming into the final sector, through the final couple of corners now. And somehow Perez manages to get around our outside through the final corner onto the main straight. Stroll is gaining. Perez has lost a bit of time, and I don't think there'll be a move. We'll move it back to the outside. Missed the apex unfortunately through turn 1. Luckily it was sweeping out of turn 2, and I don't think the Racing Points will have a run of this time round. No, they're too far back. Through turn 4 now, and we're going to try and maintain the gap, or at least increase it, try and push it out to more than 1 second, so that way they haven't got DRS, the cars behind, and they are angry swarmer cars trying to chase us down right now. Coming into the middle sector now, as we brake heavily for the right left. I don't know what you want to call it. I guess it's kind of like a question mark at the top of its cutoff. Either way, it is Stroll behind, and then Perez. Stroll's going to have a look down the inside. We're going to close off that option. It's dumb to go side by side through the fast left right chicane, and in doing that, he's lost about a second to us, and we've managed to open up a gap. That gap quickly came back down because we made a mistake through turn 5, running wide. Once again, Stroll didn't decide to overtake. He decided to hold up and see and wait, because that corner isn't that great for overtaking. And as Jeff just said, we need to use the overtake button more. We need to increase pace, build a gap, but we're struggling to do that as Stroll goes around the outside through the left-hander of, I want to say turn 9, but I think that's wrong. Into the fast left right chicane now. We run wide. Can we get back on track? Yes, we can. It's a slow exit though. Losing the back end. Perez might have a go at us. It's a very angry swarm of cars. Giovinazzi manages to get past Perez though, but doesn't get past us through the right-hander as we come into the final section of the track. Through the third to last corner, and now into the penultimate corner. We are going to have to defend heavily from the likes of Giovinazzi and Perez. There are yellow flags for what I'm not entirely sure. That was odd, but there were yellow flags. Into turn 1 anyway. Giovinazzi couldn't get past us because of the yellow flags. You're not allowed to overtake during a yellow flag period, and it's just chaos being ensued right now. Absolute chaos. Cheers, Jeff, for that update. And Daniel Kvyat is out of the race. VSC is now deployed, but there really, wasn't much that happened during that VSC period at all. And nothing really happened. No one pitted through the VSC, so we continue coming on to lap 6 now, and Giovinazzi is gonna pressure us. He's not quite close enough for this one, but maybe he'll get a run out of turn 2 and onto the straight for turn 3, opening the DRS. Giovinazzi, and he's gonna catch us here. Will he go to the inside? He'll go to the outside. We squeeze him out a little bit. He hangs it around the outside, but not enough to come into turn 4 and get the move to stick. But very good racing between the two of us. It's really exciting stuff on lap 6 of the Grand Prix. Yes, we've been overtaken, but that was expected. We're a back marker, so we weren't expecting to be up in the top 10 at all in this race. If we were, it would be down to complete and utter luck. But on to lap 7 now, and Giovinazzi's managed to get past us through turn 2 there. He's got DRS, we haven't because of the DRS recognition line there, and Giovinazzi is going to hold on to that position for the time being. Come through turn 4, just could not defend that. DRS, overtake, it was all happening, but we've put it up into overtake, see if we can try and get past him. It's a little bit of a late lunge, but nothing doing there, couldn't quite put the gap quick enough. So it looks like Giovinazzi is going to hold on to 12th place for the time being, unless we send it down the inside, and a pretty nice move, managed to get minimal contact through that and hold on to the position. But now there is an angry swarm of cars who are wanting to get past. I'm probably holding them up a little bit because I think we were on used soft tyres to try and preserve some stuff for later in the Grand Prix. But on to lap 8 now. Giovinazzi, as we haven't quite been able to break the DRS, but nothing really happened on that lap anyway. Lap 9 now, and we're going to come into the pit lane for the hard tyres. Perez got past Giovinazzi, but that doesn't really matter to us too much. Braking, just about make it. Say just about, we pretty much were half the pit limit, speed limit. But we'll see what we can do. It looks like Russell has followed us into the pit lane as we come in for the stop. And it's a 2-second stop. As you can hear, I am thrilled about that over the live comm, as me and Russell come back out, but our teammate Dorian has managed to just about get past the Williams, as you can see on the minimap. And once again, I mean, for a backmarker team, we've managed to jump Russell, and a 2-second stop, that's like ridiculous. That's Red Bull struggled to do that in real life, let alone a brand new team. So I don't think our pit stops will need any work anytime soon. But back to the racing at lap 10, we're just trying to build a bit of a gap, but our teammate pitted onto the soft tyres, so looks like Dorian's on the 2 stop. Meanwhile, we've gone for the hards, but once again jumping the likes of Raikkonen to try and salvage some positions and try and build our way back up. But our teammate, he was on soft tyres, we're on hards, we might as well let him go, and that's exactly what we've done as we come into the middle sector on lap 13, and it looks like Raikkonen's going to try and have a bit of a go here. Nothing really happening as such on that one. He's closing though as we come into the fast left-right chicane, and he's on the outside. He pulls out of the move, we brake a little bit later, managed to hold on to the position, lose the back end a little bit out of that final corner, and lap 14, coming on to 15 now. Raikkonen is still threatening us, and Magnussen as well, but we're going to send it back down the inside through turn 1, and happy days, Bob's your uncle. And Raikkonen lost out on that one, and lost out to Magnussen. That's how much time he lost throughout that one. So at this point, try and get the hammer down, try and put the foot down, try and build a gap, but Magnussen just managed to clear Raikkonen, which made it a little bit difficult. But we've broken the DRS, we're above a second, just about, and that dips back down. But hopefully, for the third DRS straight, Magnussen doesn't have DRS, because DRS is what's going to hold them and help them stay in that position as much as possible, coming through the right-hander and then to the sweeping left onto the back straight. And Magnussen seems to be struggling, managing to build a bit of a gap now through the left-right chicane. Beautiful exit through there, and Magnussen's now dropped back to 1.8 seconds. So I think our position's fairly safe. Our teammate is 5 seconds ahead of us, but remember, he's on the soft compound tyre, and Stroll, I mean, we're not going to catch him. 17 seconds ahead, sorry, on the medium tyres. There's just no way that we're going to be able to catch him. But coming through the final corner onto lap 16, and for the next 10 laps, nothing really happened. Managed to roll at our own pace as we come onto lap 25 here. Managed to roll at our own pace. I mean, Dorian came in, so he's now behind us, so we've managed to get into P12. But lap 26, Magnussen is closing the gap. I hate to say it, he managed to bridge out the gap to Raikkonen by 5 seconds, which is ridiculous. But Magnussen was quick in the back end of this race, as we've got 4 laps to go now through the right-hander, using overtake to try and keep that gap to at least over 1 second, because we want to keep him out of DRS. As soon as he's in DRS range, it's over. But out of the right-hander, it's off the back end of the curb and onto the back straight now in the middle sector. We've turned in too early. I mean, it's a simple mistake, which is annoying for me, but probably more entertaining for you guys, as Magnussen closing the gap now to 0.8 of a second through the fast left-right chicane. 3 laps of fuel remaining. We're pretty good for fuel. We're not going to run out, so we're not concerned about that. The one thing we are concerned about is the ERS, because we want to try and gap. But if we use too much ERS and Magnussen catches up, then it's going to make it really difficult to defend that position. But coming through the final corner on 6 to open up lap 27. A little bit slow through the final corner. Magnussen gaining, but he's not going to gain enough, as he lost the back end, I believe, out of that corner. Which, thank goodness for that, otherwise we would have been in trouble. But he's managed to get a good exit through turn 2, closing the gap, but once again the straight's not long enough, and he's going to wait out for another lap or so, or at least until we come to the back end of the lap through the final sector. But coming through a quick right-hander, pretty good. Didn't touch any apexes there, which wasn't great. But once again, it's not too vital as long as we're defending the position from Magnussen. It's not like we're going to try and catch Stroll. He's 27 seconds ahead, so there's literally no point. Into the middle sector now, though.
Go pro highlight.
And we are, well, making sure that we get this section of the video in the video from the live commentary, but making sure that we can hold the gap to Magnussen, which we are. We're going to try and bridge it out to a second again. How successful with that, though? It's going to be a struggle. He's in DRS range now, and it's only a matter of time. We've got just over 2 laps to go, and Magnussen has to close a gap of 0.6. It's definitely possible, as we get a little bit squirmy at the penultimate corner, a little bit slow through the final corner. Magnussen is going to gain here in the slipstream. DRS overtake, closing down into turn 1. We make contact, and it was just going to be disastrous. But Magnussen manages to get back past us. We're going to dive it back down the inside, and it's a nice move, as Kimi Raikkonen is out of the session with 2 laps to go. That's going to be a real kick in the guts for the Alfa Romeo team, but we're going to check, and it is a mechanical failure. So no point showing a replay for that, because it's literally the smoke coming out the back of the car. But Sebastian Vettel sets the fastest lap of the race as they go onto the final lap. The leaders onto the final lap now. We're trying to lock down P12. Magnussen behind. 0.5 of a second is the gap into the middle sector, over the curbs, and it's a pretty good exit, but Magnussen seems to have gotten a better one, closing the gap ever so slightly, trying to trim off as much of the track as possible, as much distance as possible. A little bit slow through the left-right chicane, missing the curb, missing the turn as well, as Magnussen gains with DRS, but it's not going to be enough. Will he have a go into turn 1 as we close the lap into the final sector? 62% tyre wear on the front left, now 63, so tyres were a bit of an issue at this stage of the Grand Prix, but Magnussen had the same issue. He only came in a lap after us, but he's gained on the front straight and gaining quite a bit, 3 tenths, 2 tenths. He's going to go around the outside. We just managed to hold him off, and it's going to be 1 lap of extreme defending against Magnussen in order to secure 12th place. Fortunately for us, Magnussen seems to get a poor exit, but DRS and overtake just helped him out as Bottas wins the race. Charles Leclerc picks up the extra point for fastest lap. There's an on-track battle for 10th between Ricciardo and Stroll, but there's also the battle between me and Magnussen. We're going to stay on board with me and Magnussen, trying to use as much of the ERS as we've got, and we seem to have gotten a lot more now, trying to preserve that for the back end of this race. Magnussen has a look to the outside, 1/10 of a second is the gap, and it's gonna be a close one. Magnussen seems to get a pretty good exit through that corner. We've hit the wall understeering because we're too concerned about Magnussen coming through the left-right chicane now, missing apex, and we just about clipped that apex, losing the back end ever so slightly over the curb. Magnussen is gonna try and catch us into the final part of the track, final sector. It's gonna be close, but we're gonna secure 12th place, and Ricciardo just about managed to secure 10th place, but Magnussen gets a poor exit out the final corner, and for the debut of the ATS Racing Team, it's P12.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Montreal.
Performance at the Grand Prix. I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team.
Well, there you go. Bottas, Charles Leclerc, and Sebastian Vettel. That is your top three from the Australian Grand Prix. But ATS Racing Team managing to pick up a 12th place, and I believe it's 17th, which isn't bad for the first race that they've ever been part of in F1. There you go. Valtteri Bottas wins over Charles Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel, Hamilton, Albon, Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Ocon, Ricciardo, Stroll, myself, Magnussen, and Grosjean is the top 14. And it was fairly close between Charles Leclerc and Valtteri Bottas, only 0.6 of a second separating those two, with Charles Leclerc putting everything into the final lap there and managing to pick up the fastest lap of the... But we're going to go chat to Claire.
So that was an exciting race from our perspective. Let's have yours. You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled. It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it? Great. Well, that's everything.
And there you go. First weekend, first Grand Prix done. And it's a beautiful weekend for us as we can pack it up and head off to the next Grand Prix, which is in Bahrain for the next one. And that's already been recorded. That will be an exciting race. Hopefully out Monday next week is when I plan to have that one out. But as you can see, we can now sign a secondary sponsor, which is good for us, but it's also bad at the same time because it means more goals that we have to try and accomplish within a weekend. But the good news is that it gives us a little bit more money to play with and hopefully upgrade certain sections of the team, as we had a little to sort it by weekly income, and it looks like, despite everything else, Atlantic had a great goal bonus and a really good weekly income and a really achievable goal bonus as well. So that just made it fairly simple. Only having to complete 75 laps over a weekend, that's just awesome. It makes life so much easier. We didn't chuck the sponsor run for the Bahrain Grand Prix. We'll make sure that we chuck it on for Vietnam in round 3. We'll make sure that that's on the car. As for R&D, there's not really much we can do with the amount of resource points that we have, as we're just trying to set up activities. That's done, and just doing a little bit more management side for the team. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did make it to the end of the video, I want you to comment below, who do you reckon won the Bahrain Grand Prix? So it's already been recorded and it was a chaotic race. So I want you to put in the description below who won the Bahrain Grand Prix, so I know that you've made it to the end of the video. But what a race. That was battles pretty much, apart from that 10 lap period in the middle of the race, we were pretty much always battling and trying to fight for position. Dorlin did a great job as well, which is really good to see. We're going to have another look at the driver market real quick, see if anyone's price has gone down or anything like that, comparing ourselves, comparing Doran to Hamilton. There's a bit of a difference, but considering the fact that we are a startup team with limited money, we're not going to buy Hamilton just yet. Hamilton is worth more than our entire team, about 4, I reckon. So that is going to do it for this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new and chuck some support at it. I am looking at getting a Xbox capture card soon, just to up the video quality, so that way it's not a camera pointing at a TV. So apologies about that for now. But that'll be hopefully rectified very, very soon. Fingers crossed anyway. But yeah, going through the character, making some changes. I think Dorlan, where did he finish? He finished 18th. So 12th and 18th for the first round is not too bad. We're 7th in the constructors, despite the fact we haven't scored any points yet, which is always good fun. But yeah, it was exciting, it was thrilling, it was good racing, and it's awesome to build your own team on an F1 game, and I can't wait to go through this entire series with you guys. It's going to be really, really fun and enjoyable. Please, if you have any suggestions or any ideas that you want to throw my way, feel free to. Stuff that we should do to the car maybe, or ideas for setup or something like that. And if you've got any other questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll try and get to those as well to respond to your comments. Like I said, the Bahrain GP, that episode will hopefully be out Monday, sometime Monday. That you do not want to miss. It was an absolute insane race. A great weekend for the ATS team overall. It was... I don't want to ruin it, but it was probably the most chaotic race that we'll see this season. And it was only the second race of the season. It was one of the best episodes that I think we'll film for this season, at least, until we can try and compete with the likes of at least Renault and McLaren. It was a fantastic Grand Prix. But that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true.